version of what we call black magic. It is a story filled with ancient beliefs, cultural clashes, and a whole lot of misunderstandings. So, let us start with a basic idea. The concept of magic is as old as humanity itself. Early civilizations, from Mesopotamia to ancient Egypt, had complex systems of rituals and incantations. But they didn't really think in terms of black or white magic. For them, magic was a tool, a way to interact with the gods and the natural world. An Egyptian priest made use a stone to heal disease, and can use a similar type of ritual to choose an enemy of the state. It was all considered part of their spiritual practice, a way to maintain cosmic balance. The morality was simply bintang intan bintan and the bintang utama bintan, not the magic itself. The black shift really begins with the ancient Persians and the philosophy of Zoroastrianism, when they introduced a powerful concept, dualism. This is the idea of a universe locked in an eternal struggle between a force of ultimate good, Ahura Mazda, and a force of ultimate evil, Agamemnon. Suddenly, Arjuna believed an event supernatural force called the categorized as belonging to one side or the other. This idea of a cosmic battle between legend and that was incredibly influential, and it laid the philosophical groundwork for separating magic into two distinct camps. This dualistic thinking was then adopted and amplified by early Christianity. As Christianity spread across the Roman Empire, it encountered a vast landscape of local pagan tradition, Greek and Roman magical practices, and various folk beliefs. To establish its own authority, the early church needed to define what was acceptable and what was not. They declared that a supernatural power didn't come from their god Moses. The definition come from the opposite source, the devil. So, things that were once considered normal folk remedies, divination, or protective charms were suddenly labeled as demonic. Praying to a saint for a good harvest was white magic or simply religion. But using a traditional folk ritual for the exception purpose was condemned as black magic. The term itself started to be associated with anything that challenged the church's spiritual monopoly. It was about hurting people. It was about where you were supposedly getting your power from. This brings us to the Middle Ages and the Renaissance, the period's most popular picture when we think of black magic. This is where the stereotype of the dark sorcerer really takes shape. Grimoires, or textbooks of magic, became popular. Some of the most famous ones, like the Key of Solomon, contained detailed instructions for summoning angels, demons, and spirits. Now, were the authors of this book thinking those harm? Not alone. When were scholars, theologians, and philosophers who believed they were exploring the hidden mechanics of the universe created by God, they saw summoning and commanding spirits not as an act of evil, but as asserting humanity as God-given dominion over all creation. However, from the outside, and especially in the eyes of the church, this looked terrifying. The idea of someone making pacts with demons, even if the goal was to gain knowledge or wealth, was the ultimate act of heresy. This fear was supercharged during the Witch Hunt era. From about the 15th to the 18th century, though the accusations were often baseless and fueled by social panic, the idea of the witch as a servant of the devil who used black magic to cure crops harm livestock, and food neighbors became deeply embedded in the popular imagination. Black magic was no longer just a forbidden practice. It was a criminal act of treason against God and society. After the Enlightenment, with the rise of science and reason, belief in literal magic began to wane among the educated classes, but the fascination didn't disappear. Instead, it went underground, re-emerging in the 19th century with the rise of modern occultism. Figures like Eliphas Al-Enam, a French occult author, formally defined the terms white magic and black magic. For him, white magic was used for good and selfless purposes, in harmony with the divine will. Black magic, or good, was magic used for selfish, egotistical, or harmful ends. It was about bending reality to your will, regardless of the consequences for others. And his modern interpretation is the only that has largely stood. It moved the focus away from ways God you replying to and back towards the original idea of bintang intan bintan. This is the version we see in most of our books, movies, and games today. The dark sorcerer in Avantos Novalis Avilnot, because he is definition. It started as a neutral tongue, was later defined by religious conflict, becoming a symbol of heresy and rebellion. Then finally evolved into a moral concept based on personal intent. It is a powerful reflection of humanity as ongoing struggle with morality, power, and the unknown. The story of black magic is, in many ways, the story of our own fears and our attempts to draw a line in the sand between good and evil. Thank you so much for joining me on this historical journey today. If you found this interesting, please hit that like button. Then consider subscribing for more deep dives into the fascinating corners of history and culture. Let me know in the comments what you think. Until next time, stay